Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, so I kind of jumped the gun on this stream by not changing my thumbnail before I started streaming. It's okay, I probably won't get too many people. It's kind of funny if you guys have been paying attention to what I've been doing here. And then if you were to look at my last video, you would actually see that there are some people out there that really want me to go back to World of Tanks, and unfortunately I'm a little too upset to play that game. It just makes me too angry, which is probably what it's designed to do, you know. But anyway, I found out some really cool stuff about this, and I actually want to check it out because I don't actually have the rangefinder on this tank, but I figured out how to use it and how to map the key for it. So let's go ahead and take a test drive. We'll do realistic battles. That way it doesn't cost anything. And then of course if you guys so what I discovered is if you bind a key you can actually move. If you guys take a look, you can see, let me zoom in. You guys can see that this can be moved. So right now I have E and Q. So E makes it positive, Q decreases it. So the numbers on the left side that go 4, 8, that's actually 400 meters, 800 meters, 1200 meters, 1600 meters, 2000 meters, 2400, 2800, and so on, right? If you like me, I actually have the rangefinder key here. You can see that even though I don't have a rangefinder, it's saying 500 meters. So if I was to use this to go to 500 meters, I should get a pretty accurate shot. It's not going to be 100%. As you can see, I hit a little bit lower than what I wanted to. So I'll aim a little high. That should have actually been the kill shot. Let's try it here. So let's try a longer target. So zooming in. Now I kind of wish that I'm gonna try and find out if I can do this, but I would like it when I zoom in for it to already be zoomed in. I don't want to have to hit a second key. So I mean, right now you have to hit Z, or you have to use your scroll to scroll in, and you can see how slow that is. It's almost pointless. So it's better just to, to use the Z button. Now another way you can do it too is just by locking onto a target, but in realistic mode, lock-on doesn't work as far as I know. So if you want to have it zoomed in, you got to basically do this, be in a good position, I'm assuming. And of course I used control to zero it out, so that's range 0, so that's for like 100 meters or 10 meters. Don't quote me for everything. So we're gonna range find the target. Now because I don't have a range finder on this, I'm pretty sure that it's just a guesstimation, because I'm pretty sure that this is over 1,000 meters. But let's try it. So 1,000 meters, and we'll try to get it right in the fuel tank here, right there. So it's a little bit more. I'm actually gonna say from experience, I know that this is more like 1,300 meters. So yeah. So there we go. So when you don't have a rangefinder, basically you're using your binoculars kind of to do this. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you can or not, but you can use your binoculars to aim and fire on targets if you would like to, which that's something there's plenty of videos out there on, but I did kind of want to show it, so for anybody that's watching, so you can kind of see what I've learned, because I said I was going to learn about those. So binoculars are a good way to spot targets. So for instance, if if I zoom in here, get zoomed in like this, and say this is probably, I don't know, to me it looks like when I'm zoomed in about 100 meters. Zoomed out, I don't know, maybe 200 meters? I don't know. So right now we're set at 13. Let's go ahead and zero out the rangefinder. And then, sorry, zero out the scalar. Then we'll take a measurement of our range. And it says 270. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it to 250. And then just probably use the line below. So like this. And we'll try and get right into that good area. So it's definitely definitely worth it. For me, I found that this is something that I would like to use. Like, this isn't something you really need in, you know, in the 400 meter range, maybe even 500 meter range. I would say something like if they're long shots and you're in realistic battle, it's something that would be pretty cool to do. But let's go ahead and get farther away. Now apparently when you fire, there's actually wind resistance, which is added in. So I don't know if it, you know, like, it's a good thing it's not windy. Now something I did notice is in this last update is that you got automatic stabilization. You can see that I'm having shaky camera, right? But it's pretty smooth. I mean, I don't think that that's normal. We want to get really far away. I mean, super far. But we also need to be able to make the shot, so we need a clear path. I'm going to try and get... it doesn't really say, I don't think, how far away that T-55 is. Okay, it just disappeared off radar, so that's... So I couldn't actually see him because he's too far away here, so let's kind of... There we go. So if we were in non-realistic, it would tell you how many meters away this is. So I'm going to zero this out. I'm going to return it to black. I kind of wish that I could make this white. White would be the best color, but in all reality, you need kind of black and white. You need black outline with white inside. So we're going to go ahead and measure our range, which is 800. It's not that far, actually. But anyway, let's go ahead and adjust it to 800 meters. So basically, just 8 on the scale there. Now I have it at 850, so we're going to go ahead and bring it back down a little bit. I did notice that this thing is kind of buggy, the controls. There is a mode where you can set this. Let me go ahead and get it right in the fuel tank here. So yeah, it did hit the fuel tank, so it basically caught it on fire and then exploded the fuel. I don't know how that works because it shouldn't actually work that way, but so like, let's see the range on this. Yeah, we're not going to get a good range because of the trees. So when a moving target is really hard. So let's go ahead and head this way. Yeah, but I found that if you are using this, even when you're in, you know, arcade mode for really long range shots, there's a certain part where it just goes dead. And if you want to make those long shots, you have to adjust it. The biggest problem that I noticed is because you can't use the rangefinder in arcade mode, which is kind of like, I don't understand why you can't use that. Maybe you can, but let's see if we can get... That should be an easy range. Let's see. So like I said, this is going to be a guesstimation because I don't actually have a rangefinder. So it's saying 980, and I'm going to say I don't think that that's true. Yeah, I don't think that that's true. Yeah, so in this case where you don't have the rangefinder unlocked, it's basically your commander just guessing at what it is. He's just guessing. You know, he's just guessing at what's going on there. So let's see. So I'm gonna say that it's probably way further than that. So because we guessed 800, right? And it was 1300 before, and I think I'm actually further back, so I'm actually thinking that this is going to be more like 1400 or something. Even that looks a little shallow if you look at it here. It looks a little shallow. I actually went over, so maybe it is. Let's try 1300 here. 1250. 1200. It said it was 900. You know? It said it was 900 meters, but we can see that that's not right. Now, if we go ahead and just go to the garage and I grab a vehicle that actually does have a correct rangefinder, it's because you can see here that I don't actually have the laser rangefinder, so I'm not going to get that. But at this tier, the laser rangefinder is way more accurate than if we were to use a older type vehicle. So depending on how trained your crew is will also determine how far and how accurate that is. But it gives you just a rough idea, so that maybe instead of taking like 5 shots, because that's how many it would take me to guess it without using the scope, like I'll show you. Because this one, this is fully upgraded. So we'll go ahead and see, test drive, and I'm going to go ahead and use arcade this time to show you guys for those really long shots, which I've actually ran into where things were just out of range of the normal game. So everything here is in the range. You know, you got 1.3 kilometers, and you have this white thing here, right? But it's just, if you look, the tank's just out of range there. Now we can't use the rangefinder. I can hold R down all I want to. I can still control how far away, but I don't know how to read kilometers. But we know that this is almost 1300 kilometers, so 132, so it's probably 13.20, right? So I'm assuming that's how the kilometers work. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. But let's bring our crosshair so we can see it. And let's bring it to 1350 and see what happens. So, because we're not relying on zoom in here, not relying on the actual sight, and you guys can see there that that's how you can get long range sights, right? And if, of course, if they're somewhere near it, like this one's probably 1,000 less, you can see up there that it says 1,000 less, right? But we're still not getting a target on it, as you guys can see. So even at 1,000, so if we bring this, if we want to hit it and we bring it down to say a 1,000 even, we can make these longer shots. And then of course once it gets closer, within I think it's under 1,000, then we could just use the actual designator here, as you guys can see, which is normally just to aim the whole gun. Now, I'd say that the quickest way to do this would be, I mean, in realistic, would be to just, you know, reference the line next to it. So if we were to range find a target, it says that this is 1,200 meters, and it's probably way more accurate than, you know, yeah. So we're getting different, we could be getting interference from this tree or even the bushes. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably, you know, in there between 1,000. We can also do the turret, which if you look, the turret says 1,400. So it's got to be more than 1,000, but we're also using a shell that drops a lot. So, so yeah, if you were in game and you knew the range, you could just go to and guess. So this would be. So if it's 400 to 800, the next mark should be an increment of 2, right? So it would be 600. So It's saying that it's 600 meters. You know, because it doesn't, I don't think it counts the bushes. 600, and you can see that it does change as you go from the front plate to the turret. So it's saying 400 there, and it's saying only 1,000 there. Let's see. As you guys can see, we hit a little high, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like really accurate shots. You know, you want to be, you know, like the turret here. So to make more accurate shots, that's pretty much what you'd want to do. Which, yeah, pretty. So this would even look like an easy shot, but if you look, it's actually a little past 400. So I can't range find it, but you can see on there that it says 288, 289, right? So we actually would want to shoot like right above the fuel tank here. And to make it more accurate, I could match it. So anything within this distance, I'm going to get a more accurate shot, which I've discovered. And I thought, you know, it's a good thing to have. I have 2 mouse buttons on my 2 extra mouse buttons, and basically I can use it for auto drive. Now I never auto drive in reverse. And to be honest, only like when I'm talking right now and I'm just trying to concentrate would I ever bother even using auto drive. But you can disable and enable any keys you want to. I also found out that special weapons are basically mouse button 5. So 89, so that's like 900 meters, I think. Let's actually double check. I'm curious if it is 900 meters, because it's saying it's 12 something. $1,200 meters. It's saying I have 1,000 here. Yeah. Makes sense, right? Anyway. So it's a pretty handy little thing to have, and also if we're playing in realistic, we won't have the crosshair here. You know, we won't have it. I kind of, like I said, I want to look up, I would like to look up how to change the colors of this, because I'll say red is actually can be worse. Like as you can see, it's actually, for me, it's easier to read the dark color on it, but like I said, now I had to enable this. It's not on there. You have to go into options and go to miscellaneous, and it's actually sight distance controls. And you guys can see that I just basically, oops, cancel. Let's go here, and I basically disabled E, so it's no longer auto drive forward like it is on World of Tanks on the PC, and Q is also reverse auto drive. It's good if you're shooting while driving, but when you have a keyboard, you don't really need it. If you have a controller, you'd probably want to have those enabled, because it's hard to aim with your thumb and drive at the same time. It's easier for me. So control reverts your access to 0. You can enable this, but from what I can tell, you have to hold down a separate button to use it. So it's kind of pointless to me to use that. And like I said, it's not 100% accurate. It just depends upon how good your crew is. And of course, I had to turn the relative control sensitivity to 10%. The higher it is, the quicker the scope goes. And I had to restart the game to get it to be 100% accurate, which I don't actually understand why it would be like that, but you know, whatever. It's probably because I'm missing something. One of the things I was talking about was... see, weaponry. There's a way you can like change the color of your crosshairs here, and I actually don't know how. If you go to tank battles here, there should be stuff for scalable. So customization of vehicles. I don't know. This says replay and spectre mode. Customize your vehicle. Show content in battle arcade. Other. Let's see, other settings. So we can just kind of scroll through all these settings. Main parameters, common, these are common settings, air battle. And you can see these hood, like the hood is green with red colors. If we go tank battles, I don't see any colors, so it doesn't look like there's a way to change your secondary color on your crosshairs, unless it's like added in, like battle interface. This could be what it is here, because enable player names red, overheat red, right? These are for all your displays. Measurements, I could switch to a different measurement because I don't really work with kilometers, but like I said, I could get used to it. Player marker settings, show marker, I don't know. Chat and voice, all that stuff. Gamepad, this is for gamepad. Replay, customize vehicle, other settings. So I don't think there's a setting to change that. I mean, there might be, but I'm not seeing it. Anyway, so it's pretty handy thing. You know, I thought it was pretty decent to know, for sure. There's plenty of videos on it if you guys want to go more into it. See here, what else we got? That's pretty much it. Sight distance control. Now, you can change it so that your tank no longer zooms in with the mouse scroll, and you can change it to sight distance. The problem that I found with that is that I couldn't get it to be correct. Maybe it's the way I have my mouse set up, but when I hit one notch, it would go to 400 meters. You know, it would basically go 4, 6, 8, and so on. It wasn't like it would, you know, and no matter how small I made it. Mouse wheel multiplier. I don't even know what this does. I'm gonna check it. Let's try 100% and see what happens here. Maybe we zoom in more. No. Oh, I see. Wow. So if I just touch the mouse button, it's like super fast. Wow. So I could technically use that to just aim in without any assistance. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're in sniper mode. So that would probably not be the way to go. So we were at what, 50%? So I could probably, you know, this is probably what was wrong with mine, was that I had this set wrong. If I probably would have had the say sight distance control enabled, I probably could have used this to slow down how, you know, like one notch would be 100 or 50 meters and so on. It takes a long time to do that though, so I found that using the keys, because you can just hold it down and it will be really fast compared to having to scroll it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So I'd have to scroll it 5 to go to 500 meters, so I don't know. I don't know which one's quicker, but anyway. So there we go. So that's that. I thought it was a pretty decent thing to have and to do. Something that you could do. So if you have a premium vehicle and you play it enough, it'll automatically unlock 4, so you can put 4 different kinds of things on here. So there's a mirror effect that you can do when customizing your vehicle, and I'll show you guys that too. I actually had a couple people private DM me on this, and I was like, okay, well I could probably, you know, do something about it. I gotta turn my custom fan on for my computer. Okay, so somebody DM'd me basically saying, ask me how do I get a mark of excellence, And then how do you get, like, because technically if you look at this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you only have the ability to have 4 unless you, you know, and you only have the ability to have 2 if you have premium. I'm sure people know this already, but anybody that's been watching my my War Thunder videos probably has no idea what I'm talking about. But if you do play the game, so premium vehicles, no matter whether you have premium time or not, will always give you the ability, if you unlock it. So if you play it enough, you'll get a mark of distinction, which basically means you can always have 2 more things. So when you use a decal, and I'll show you guys. So when I use this decal, you have a couple of options that you can do. Okay, so one, if you look down on the bottom, it says 2 down here. It says 2-sided, and you can see that I have that. That means that it's basically on both sides of the vehicle. You can actually see here that it goes straight through the vehicle on all sides and shows up even on the inside. You can see that there's actually 4, or what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 markings there. But in all reality, you know, you would probably put it here, right? You'd put this here, and so there's a couple things you could do. You could do just one single by hitting T. You can do one single, so it would only be on one side, as you guys can see. So if you want to do that, or if you want it to show up on both sides, you can use T. So use T. And then this one reverses or does a mirror image of it on the other side, which you don't need to do with something that's already a pretty symmetrical sign, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So if you take a look at the ones here, these are what I use to make the mark of excellence. The problem is I did a mirror on it. So basically what I did was I used one of these and I put it on sideways, and then if you looked on top of the barrel, you could actually see where it wasn't covering the barrel. So in order to put one single mark like this, it actually requires 2 slots. Now I'm sure there's other ways you could do it, but I just personally just thought it was funny to put it on there. I probably will change it in the future, but the point is, yeah, the way you would do it was you would basically put the letter 1 right on the side here, and then you put the digit 1 top down on it, and then it will cover the top and bottom of the barrel. And you have to use, when you do it, you actually have to use the 3rd slot, because if this is if you were to read it right on this side of the tank, it would show a correct 1. But on the other side, it would be the other way. So if you guys understand that, something I can do is I can kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. So if we have a 1 here, you guys can see that from the top down, you can see that it requires 2 of these. It requires 2 of these to actually go around the whole barrel. As you can see, it requires 1 on top, 1 on the bottom in order to cover it. But if you don't use the 3rd, so 2-sided mirror, so if you guys look at this, I'll show you, because I'm going to basically cancel this, but if you set it here, if we go to the other side and it's mirrored, you can see that it doesn't look like a 1, right? Kind of looks more like a, it's just a backwards 1. But if it was the other way, if you put it on here, one side wouldn't match up with the other, which you guys can try if you would like to, if you guys would like to see it. So to kind of show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here, I would like this mark to be a little bit more here. So if I was to use the 3rd mark here, or sorry, the 2nd mark down, and put it on here, you guys can see that they don't match up. Do you see it? See how it doesn't match up? So, and it's because they're different. They're placed different. So the only way I can get this to be correct, the only way I can get it to be correct is to mirror it. So when I put it on here like this, so if I put it on here and I want the mark to be right here, let's just say, and I need to hit T so that it's basically the same on the other side. And what that does is it matches it up. So you can see it makes it matched. So now I can go from the top, and you can see that it doesn't fully cover it. So the only way you can get it to fully cover is to put it on top there. So kind of show you guys, you can see it that it doesn't quite cover it. So I'm going to go ahead and use a, oops, I'm doing this wrong. Let's hit cancel. So that's actually not where I would want it. I would want it to be like right there. Okay. And then we just need to put it like this. Depending on your angle. There you go. So that's basically how you do that and get it to cover both sides. Just remember that you have to use the third slot. I actually can see that the barrel underneath is not being covered. I wonder, did I... Yeah, I used that, so hit cancel. Cancel, yeah. So it should be covering top and bottom. Very strange that it's not doing that. Yeah, it would be much better if I could get it to cover. Like when you use a different camo scheme, you can really see it. So let's just cancel so that it's you know, it looks decent. Yeah. So that's pretty much what you have to do if you want to do a mark. Okay, no comments yet. Anyway, seems confusing, but you guys will get the hang of it by using the customizer. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people are playing on Xbox that watch me, and I'm really trying to move away from that. Now, eventually, there's going to be the xCloud, which should make it so that like me playing PC with people on Xbox is much easier. The biggest problem with that is if I could possibly play with using my PC to play the Xbox version of this, which would require me having to go up this tech tree again, which does bring up the whole, if it's the xCloud thing and I don't really want to play, like I don't want to lose my progress, World of Tanks PC is different than World of Tanks on console. That's why they named one Mercenary, World of Tanks Mercenary, and they changed them. It's probably because they've known for probably 4 years that xCloud's been coming out, and this is just a sign showing that. But all xCloud does is make it so you can, you know, do that. So anyway, let's go ahead and check out the crew here. So this is what I've been working on. Now, before I knew any better, I basically got targeting and range finding, and I got those to be 100% because I thought that those were the most important. Come to find out that it's actually these these four: vitality, agility, field repair. These are all the things you want these to be, you know, more than this leadership. So they say it actually tells you on here, if you look, it says to try and keep these all the same. So what I'm basically doing is on this next one, we're going to go ahead and unlock the next slot of these, and then we'll start back, you know, we'll get to logistics, and I'll finish, you know, repair time, get these to 3, and then I'll get these to 3 until we get 150 points for the tank. Okay, so that's pretty much that. We can go ahead and play. Like I said, without the rangefinder, it's basically the captain of the commander. He will range find a target and go. So I'm going to try and get good at that because I actually do want to play realistic battles, especially with the more modern vehicles. I don't know if you go negative a lot, like if you just drop eggs, if you just go 0 and 0, I don't know if that's, you know, going to be too fun. And I did find out that there is a Unicum, you know, statistics for this game, which I'm never gonna look at. If I look at those, I am gonna be I will become obsessed with my stuff. You know, I will become obsessed. So I'm reading this thing here, and it says, you know, for a new crew, you can only get an accurate at 600 meters. For a medium crew, or sorry, aced crew, 1,000 meters, and for a range finding module, you can get 1950. So that's actually from somebody named Mike Goes Boom, YouTuber, which is how I actually learned this. I just noticed that there's not a lot of like, to be honest, I probably should look up, you know, how to properly set up your, you know, all of the commands that you need and things you should probably use. Like, if you enjoy arcade and you don't want to range find and you just want to aim and fire really fast, that's cool. But if you're, a lot of the maps you play on are really close quarters, but there are maps that have super long range stuff, which you'll have to use. You have to use the rangefinder to get accurate shots. For me, playing Assault Tank Arcade just so I can basically unlock these vehicles, it takes more time for less XP, but it's less stressful for me, and I find it that, you know, I just have more fun in general. Seriously, more fun in general in comparison to any of the other games that I've played. And one of the things that always upset me about World of Tanks is that there really isn't a PvE mode that's, I'll say, like this, where it's basically like terrorist hunt. I kind of wish that they would introduce a terrorist hunt mode for this, and what that is basically is where you have, you know, your squad fighting, you know, on maps that actually exist in the game, you know, so that way you can get practice on the actual maps that you're playing on. Now, I found a pretty messed up flaw with this vehicle. I don't actually know why it's like this. I mean, I know it's probably realistic, but if you look, I basically have 15 shots in the turret. Now, after I fire these 15 shots, I am actually at the mercy of about a 19-second reload to get the shells from the front to the cannon itself. So if you're in game, that's pretty much the max that you're firing. Anything more than that. Now you guys can see that doing this, like aiming in, is pretty easy. I wonder. Looks like somebody's shooting these down. That's good. I don't want to get dropped on. So yeah, when you have moving targets and all this, and you're playing in arcade mode, there's no reason to try and use that rangefinder. But there are times when a vehicle gets crippled and it's just out of your range. Yeah, it looks like we got vehicles coming through here. They pop up every once in a while. One of the worst things about heat shells is that if they hit anything on the way, they will, most of the time, hit a bush. So I could use my other ones, but it actually costs silver. Yeah, hopefully we get into a situation where I can use the rangefinder. Yeah, I noticed that my aiming and stuff recently has been kind of off. Like I'm forgetting where to shoot a lot of these vehicles, even though I've probably shot the same vehicle in the same location 30 times. Also, not having the rangefinder will make that harder. So I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta do something real quick because the volume is really loud. Oh, you know what it is? I just need to turn the volume down to 30. There we go. Okay, that'll fix it. So if you guys take a look here, I'm down to 2, 4, 6 shots, and I have 2 kills to show for that. So that means I fired that many shells. Now, if you guys look at this counter here, I have to wait that amount of time to replenish the shell. So I could basically sit here for a while or use an aircraft or fly around and come back, and I'll probably have 6 shells loaded, or maybe 5 shells in 60 seconds. So I would say that this tank is probably pretty effective when it comes to like realistic game mode. Because it is a realistic vehicle, and it has a decent reload time. I have found out that it's better to get, for instance, the French tank. It has one of the best fire rates and best gun, and it's one of the most expensive tanks in the game. I mean, in real life. This is one of those times where I said, like, using a rangefinder would actually be helpful. But as you can see, I got my crew injured. And while you're doing this, you won't load new shells. So you guys can see when they hit, it actually almost caused an ammo rack. So it's kind of one of those messed up situations where I would say in real life it probably does take a while. If you look at the way this tank's designed, it's not like the loader can just grab those shells. It looks to me like the driver has to grab them and then hand them to the gunner. Or maybe the turret has to sit still, and that's why you don't load shells. Like you can see I'm loading shells right now, but you would think all you'd have to do is step forward, grab the shell, pick up the shell, and then load it back in the container. And I would think that it would be just as fast, to do that as it would be to just fire it from its location. But I don't know why it's 19 seconds. I mean, 19 seconds is crazy. When I get more accurate here, once I get the stuff, yeah, there's only one map where I've found that there's a lot of long-range shots that you need, and it's actually, I don't know the name of it, but it's basically like multi-nation. You're being attacked by multi-nations. You guys can see too that my shells are hitting bushes. Just really bad luck on my part. Yeah, I'm hitting bushes. I'm missing shots. So I'm really not doing very well. I still only have two kills. So like I said, it's kind of a this isn't RNG. This is like I'm having an off day. So. I don't know why I'm missing so much. Seriously. Yeah, this is not the map to use those, to use the elevation on it, so. But you guys can see that if you did want to use the elevation, most targets at this range are gonna be, a little bit lower than what we'd want. So it's better to have 0 and aim above. It's not as accurate like I was showing you guys, but people that are using the rangefinder, the automatic rangefinder, will beat you every time to the punch. So what I need to do is basically not help the team and go get a reload, because as you guys can see, I actually am kind of curious. I'm gonna fire and then see what my reload is before I get this here. So I know that the team is having trouble here, and it looks like we might lose, but so let's see, 20. It's almost 30 seconds to load it from the front and reload the rack in the back. So that's a hell of a, that's how long it takes to basically take the shell and load it. So you get every 30 seconds you can get 2 shells. So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, That's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. When I look at it, so it's probably one of the biggest flaws with the German line is that in order for this guy to grab these shells, it takes him 30 seconds. So I don't know on what circumstances that happens, because it's not that way with this one. And you can see that he's actually sitting further away. You know, the shells are right here. It takes longer for him to load and fire on this tank, but when you're switching shells, it does not take nearly as long. And they do look like they are different shells. Seriously, if you look at the ammunition type, they are definitely different shells than what we have here. These are Sabo rounds. So, yeah, I don't quite understand it, but you get 15 shots and then you're just screwed in this tank. So, like I said, this vehicle, those 15 shots are relatively fast, but it is a serious flaw. Now, I'm sure if I was using 150% crew, the maximum in this vehicle, it would probably be less than that. I don't know by how much. We could actually check. Let's actually check that. I will send this crew on holiday, and we will send this crew on holiday, and I will grab my 150 crew. We'll put it in there. And then we'll take the other crew and put it in here, which I had said to everybody that I had accidentally done this, which cost me 200,000, 400,000 to do it, but I could switch them. So with a 150% trained crew, which means it's an ace crew. Let's actually double check that. It's an ace crew, but we do need to have to make it a, sorry, not an ace crew, it's a basic crew. But you know, it's got the maximum amount of points. So I would have to have another, you know, what, 8,000 lion heads to get this, to get the upgrade, and then we would have basically we would have a, is it an ace crew? Is that what it is? Expert. We'd have an expert crew, then we'd have an ace crew. So expert is a medium crew, I'm assuming. So the 2K has the expert crew, but let's check it out and see if it makes any difference. And I will go ahead and use this in a. We'll go ahead and use this in a. See here. Test drive this. We'll do it in a regular arcade battle. So yeah, because the computer can drive at pretty much any speed and shoot, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and just fire our shells and get rid of all 15 shells, and we're going to see just how long it takes. You guys can see that the reload with this crew is a hell of a lot quicker than yeah, it's a hell of a lot quicker. I kind of wish it would tell you the time. I mean, I guess I could count. So 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. I'm thinking about 1007. So once this rack, once we fire all these shells, yeah, once we fire all the shells, we'll be limited by however many seconds it's going to take. I'll just count it just to, I'm sure there's something I could turn on to show, but so we have 5 more shells to fire. Three. Okay, 1 more. Okay. So, in order to get an accurate... I'm pretty sure it's still 30 seconds, regardless of what you do. I mean, maybe it shaves off a couple seconds. Maybe if I had an ace crew, it might make that a little bit faster. But it's still quite a long time, so when I fire, I'll go ahead and count 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1013, or 11, 12, 13, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. So it's saying 20 seconds. So just to see if I'm actually right, I'm going to go ahead and after we fire, I'm going to go ahead and hit pretty much as fast as I can that I'm reloading. So we'll see how many seconds. I'm pretty sure it's probably 20 seconds, so it shaves off 10 seconds, which is not really that much. Oh, it doesn't let me use the commands. Oh well. I don't know where we could see the reload, how many seconds on here. But I'm assuming it's about 20 seconds. I did kind of screw up the counting. I don't, you know, I was just sitting there thinking about how I could possibly screw up the counting. And, so yeah, I could use a timer, and we could see after you load in a shell if you don't fire it, right? So we have to wait. As you look, you can see you have to wait a little bit of time before he'll start grabbing shells. So it takes less time, I think, to load this. I can get a timer really quick. Let me actually grab a timer. You know what? I don't have a timer on me. Anyway, so when you fly a helicopter, they give you like I think it's a minute and 30 seconds. So in a minute and 30 seconds, I come back and I have one shell, or sorry, I have 6 shells. So it definitely takes less time to load the shell. Then, like, it doesn't take 30 seconds once you're, you know. But if you fire, it starts the whole thing over again. So after you fire your 15 shots, you basically have to either go get a reload, reload your ammunition, or sit somewhere and wait for him to move the ammunition from the front. Now, I don't know if there's a way I can speed up this process. I mean, there could be a way to speed up the process, but I wouldn't know. So as you guys can see here, yeah, that's a big flaw. It's a big flaw, which because you can fire fast enough, I noticed that. So if we were to look at this, it says the reload is 6.9 seconds with the crew that I have in it, and then this one says 7.9, so almost a full second. But I almost never run out of ammunition with this vehicle. Seriously, almost never. I've fired every shell that I had out of it, and it doesn't exactly store a whole bunch of shells there. As you can see, it really stores not even close to the amount. 11 shots are probably at the 7.9, and then after that it's a little bit longer. So basically, to have all this armor, there is that huge, like I said, I don't see how it could take you 30 seconds to grab this shell and slide it into this container, or grab it from here and then load it in there. You know, so I'm assuming that that's probably something, if you had the Super Max crew, you're going to get, you know, after you fire your 15 shells, at the 7 seconds, it's going to be horrible. So if we change crews, so it says 6.9. If we change crews, let's see what it changes to. 7.1. So I'm assuming once we get the basic, whoops, yeah. So once we get the basic, let's see here. So let's see what this goes to. 7-1. So it goes from 7-9 to 7-1. So having a halfway trained crew compared to a fully trained crew is pretty much shaves off a second. So it's about the same as a World of Tanks. Now I would say that if this was an ace vehicle, which I could tell you right now, I think if I was gonna, if I was gonna spend money on this game, that I would probably spend it on these crews. I don't know what kind of a difference it would make. It says here 0.2, so I don't think that would be worth it to me. Like here, I would say getting to basic and spending that 600,000, 690,000 will probably be worth it. But I would say in the long run, I don't think I'd want to spend gold and all that and get 1,000,000 XP to get a crew. And I would say that I'm pretty sure that people probably just buy. They probably just buy it. Because I would say that's probably where you'd want to invest your money. That and maybe premium time, but it's pretty expensive. It's expensive. I think it's expensive. I noticed something too. Once you get into tier 10, you pretty much never play the French map again. I don't know why that is. So we're basically trying to get this tank built up. Plus we're trying to get another crew trained. So I think it's going to be one of those situations like I had said where you know, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get a good crew, and I think even once you get the good crew, it is gonna make a huge difference, but it's not really gonna make like the craziest difference. I think it's just a way to get you to spend more time playing the game. So I would say worrying about crew and reloading. Like I said, once we basically, when you are working on your tank, you're kind of at the mercy of the inaccuracy of the vehicle. At close ranges, I'm got decent stuff going on. Seriously, at close ranges, I can hit anything. But when we start getting into 500 meters, then it starts taking a sideways turn. I've been noticing a lot of people over in that spot over there, which is where I like to sit. You can sit here too, but if they come from that direction, it is like where they are right now, they will come by and just annihilate you. So if they spawn behind me, you can't be in this spot. This is one of the craziest things. So this has reactive armor, and so this shell pins 650 millimeters. 650 millimeters it pins, and the reactive armor throws that shell right out of the way. Now you can get some lucky shots in sometimes. Like I would think that shooting right here would kill the whole crew. You go right through the driver, but it's very rare. This actually, the M60 Rise actually seems like a very decently armored vehicle. It would be nice if you could explode the reactive armor with your machine gun. Like that would be definitely decent. I'm gonna actually try to get more accurate shots by using this, by adjusting my range. So the side angles, I don't know if that's how it works, but when a vehicle's driving, if I'm using that, so if you look at the left to right, it's exactly the same. So if the guy's driving at a certain, you have to use, you have to use guesstimation, for sure. So like if a tank's driving, you just out of experience, you have to guess where it's gonna be. Seriously. You have to just guesstimate it. So if he's driving and he's not, if he's so I've fired all 15 shells I can tell because I've been waiting to reload for quite some time. So I'm going to go ahead and take a flight here and park in a place where hopefully I don't get smoked. So we're going to go ahead and just chill here. And we'll see how many shells we get when we come back. So we get minute 30 like I had said. Minute 30. So by switching your view here, it definitely helps to get a more accurate shot, but in all reality you want to kind of hit hover mode. Hit hover mode and slow down to 0. Now this is only for the guided bombs. Once you get to 0, you can actually aim down and the aircraft's nose will dive. And you can see here that I get a much more accurate shot now. So if you guys have ever done this, this is probably the best way to do it. It's the only way I've been able to get any kind of, reliable kills. And it definitely works much better on vehicles that are sitting still. So after that though, we have these really huge Russian rockets, which are crazy. As far as I can tell, they're just insane. So they are really big rockets. The problem is that they are rockets. And that's pretty much our mission there completed. So we're going to come back and see how many shells we have loaded. So we've only got 4 in a minute and 30. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're in this, you can just go get a reload. But I'm going to say in all reality, there's no reason to carry more than 15 rounds in this vehicle in an actual game. Unless you have a lot of sitting, like, in an actual game you have a lot of sitting. But after I fire my 4 shots... Now one thing I do think is pretty cool is if you switch to a different type of ammunition, it's automatically changed. Which I would say it's probably not like that in reality. In reality, the shells are probably loaded differently. So once you get hit, there's no loading shells. So we only have two fast-firing shells in this tank now. So like I said, I believe it's a terrible flaw in this tank, or maybe it's the way they made it. Like I said, I don't see how it would take you that much time to grab the shell from the front. So I think when it comes to the way that this tank works, I think that it's been kind of nerfed, which I actually was kind of, I didn't think they did that. But to me, I do think that that is a nerf. I mean, it should not take 30 seconds to grab a shell from the front of the tank. It should not. It should not take that much time. I definitely want to get used to using this, the angle here. You do get more accurate shots when you do it, but look at the reload I have. So unless I get a repair, I'm just basically got to sit here for a long time or blow up the tank I'm in. Yeah, I mean, like, I can fire now. Yeah, there's nothing you can do once you fire those 15 unless you want to wait forever. So I'm just gonna let myself get killed here. It's not going to be anything I can do anyway, because there's no repair kits around. So I would say that although you might have a faster reload, I would say that once I get this 100%, if you don't get it, like, I'll try and get an ace, but I'm going to go ahead and say that the tech tree being like this, or this tank being like this, like, it's a 10 rated 10 tank that you have to wait 30 seconds to get ammunition from the front to the back. Which would say right now that the Abrams is probably the one you want to go with, because you get 25 shells in the, 25 shots inside the turret, and then I bet you it has the same flaw where you probably have to, I would assume that it's probably like if you're not firing consistently, it will always keep your tank loaded, right? I think that's why he's going to get that. I don't think he's actually damaged. I think it's because he's actually just trying to get that ammunition. Like I said, once you run out of the 15 shells here, you know, you cannot replenish them in between rounds. It takes 4 seconds. So either you have to die each round. Seriously, you either have to die each round, which is something that does happen. You have to die each round. I'm gonna fire in premium shells here. Yeah, when you're using heat, I'm gonna say that it's actually not so hot when they're in bushes for sure. I like that realism though. I would say that the tank before this, because of that, the ability to actually fire, and reload and keep your tank, I would say that the Leopard 2K is actually better than this vehicle. You know, from what I can tell so far, I'm not like a master at this. I don't have ace status on it, which I probably never will. I'm not going to spend gold on a crew. But, you know, getting 150% on the crew, I think that's pretty much the most that I'm willing to do, honestly. Okay, one comment. 87 smoke grenades. So yeah, to kind of show you guys, if you are playing this, some stuff I've learned. I don't know if this is actually the best way to do it, but once you hover and then you get into a solid state, I mean, if you're just hovering, you don't have any speed, the helicopter will settle, and as long as you're not getting shot, you can actually make some pretty accurate shots. Obviously, frontal shots on tanks is not what you're going for. If I was from behind here, if it was from behind, then it would definitely get better. Yeah, very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah, so minute 30 and we actually did manage to load. I don't know how many shells I had fired though. I know I wasn't completely out. But we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 shells. So I'm gonna have to switch because these are Abrams. So it takes on average 2 shots for me to take down an Abrams. Or snatch somebody else's kill like that one, because I mean in all reality somebody had shot that a couple times. Yeah. There was probably the commander was probably the only guy alive in that vehicle. Now there's some ammunition right there. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna put this out after I fire. Oh, okay. Never mind. I think they're gonna make me repair before I can move. Yeah, I need to move because I'll get killed. Oh, my track is what was being repaired. Lol. I'm gonna get popped here. We'll try and, I was gonna say I'll try and survive, but It's probably one of the better things about playing this game mode is, I would say in-game, the Leopard 2A4 would be really good because you really don't fire that much. A lot of stuff is close range shots. Yeah, everything's close range, so there's no need for any of this stuff, right? Yeah, if I fired nothing but these Sabo rounds, it actually costs quite a bit, and they are more accurate. They're faster. You don't have to lead the target quite as much. The heat, though, which is the standard shell for this, you know, bushes stop it. Sometimes they aren't exactly hitting the mark, so. A lot of. I'm starting to learn the flaws of this game. Which I mean, when you play in arcade mode, this tank doesn't really. It's not really as maneuverable as it is. It's not 100% accurate. So I would say they got a little bit of that, you know, where they want to make some tanks obsolete. Otherwise, everybody would just play one tank. So. Like I said, this tank probably serves, I mean, as far as survivability, it's got good survivability. It's got good survivability in comparison to, like, the Leopard 2K, but the ability to not fire, what's the point if you can't fire, you know, if you're, you know, like I fire 5 shells and there's no way that's going to be even close to replenished before the next round unless people wait. Like right now is it's probably the only time that you'll see me keeping, you know, getting another 12 shots before the next round. So in all reality, at this tier, once I fully upgrade this, having to deal with that ammunition, you know, flaw, whether you have a really excellent crew or not, is still going to take forever to load it. So I would say if I'm playing this tank in this kind of thing, either I need to find repairs, which I mean some maps are really, as you can see, some people are getting those repairs constantly because their tanks are getting destroyed, or you can just kill your tank and then pay for 15 more rounds. So it's kind of to me it's kind of crappy. It's a crappy thing about this particular game, like I said. If I wait and get all 15, so somebody shot that tank, which has given me enough time to get, you know, but I'm probably going to have 13 shells loaded. 13 shells loaded. Once I start firing, though, once I start firing, oh, that's getting unlucky with these heat shells. They're actually really good shells on this map. I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the better. But I would say that as far as everything goes, the Leopard A1 Premium is probably better just because it's a little bit faster. Yeah, it doesn't survive, but you can move and fire really fast. Now, once this is fully upgraded, I bet you it's going to perform like that. The biggest problem that you run into is, like I said, we won't know until it's fully upgraded and it's got a fully upgraded crew, and maybe I have it at, you know, I get basic, or is it expert? If I get expert on it. If I get expert, if I achieve expert on it, we could probably see at how long does it take for those shells to be loaded from one. Like I said, it only shaved 10 seconds off of it when I had an, you know, maximum crew. I was actually hoping was hoping to get in a good hover position, but I'm just too far away to... Just too far away to really get a good shot on this. We got 4 more shells. And I don't think... Yeah, I don't think I'm going to even get to use them just because I chose this too soon. It's okay. So yeah, it looks to me like this class or this this tank, just because of the way that it's set up with the ammunition in the front, kind of defeats the purpose of having it. Honestly, I would say that the Abrams is probably the better one to have as far as like, there's no reason to go for any other tank than that. The French Lark or whatever, the new one that just came out, it has an auto loader in it. And it does keep all the ammunition in the turret. So, yeah. Like I said, survivability and all that stuff. Survivability is definitely better in this, and I'm sure fully upgraded this vehicle will be nice. But in this game mode, it's definitely not the funnest to play because of the fact that you're limited by 15 shells, and then after that you just basically stop earning. Because you can't fire more than 15 shells without waiting 30 seconds per shot, which is just, you know, it's definitely something to bring up if you're actually going to play this game. That, you know, I would say that going into 10, just like World of Tanks, when you play World of Tanks, if you go into tier 10, to play the tier 10 vehicle, it costs so much that it's almost not worth playing, you know, unless you have a good game every single time, which you just can't guarantee. You're going to have a bad team, you know, you're going to have that. And I say on this one, at least you know what you're limited by, which is ammunition. So, at least they're not being dishonest. But I will say that it would be nice if it was printed somewhere that you get 15 shots at 7 seconds, but after that, to reload or replenish your ammunition, you know, it takes 30 seconds to do that. So I'll do it though, I'll say it, because kind of have to, right? They'd spawn those tanks right in the worst place, right behind me. I'm like in a terrible position. Alright, let's flip it. Yeah, I would say that, I mean, in real life, I think if you wanted to switch the ammunition, I would say, like, this is kind of something I think to myself. So an auto loader, once it fires its shells, you have to stop your vehicle, park somewhere, and it should take like a couple minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even, to reload it. And so I guess to make that more realistic, or to make it so you can still at least feel like you're playing, so like that's kind of what I think to myself. I go, if I stopped the tank and the entire crew is doing nothing, they should be able to get these shells, you know, really fast, not like we've been seeing 30 seconds. So what I find most people end up doing is they just end up getting the repairs, and if you can't, then you're just kind of screwed. One of the biggest problems I would say with this this particular situation is yeah, that it's almost the airplane almost did me a favor so that I could get more ammunition. But as you can see, it starts costing lots. So earning silver and automatically doing this is kind of, you know. Let's see here. Damn, I'm playing this tank with low ammo all the time. what? So Keeper. Oh crap! Where'd that come from? Let's see, Keeper. What's he in? What tank's he in? Challenger? I wonder if it has the same thing going on. So France has the same thing going on, like their autoloader. Like I said, you get 25 shots and then you probably have to wait quite a bit of time to reload it. It sucks that it's one shell at a time. Like, to me that doesn't make any sense. That if if you're out of ammunition, you would be out of commission. So you'd have to stop your vehicle, sit, and then it should give you like a timer, just like the repair. So to load those shells shouldn't be 30 seconds a piece. I mean, that's kind of a, like I said, that's a World of Tanks handicap. It is. Like, maybe we don't have to wait to aim in, all that stuff, but yeah, it's definitely something that it would have been nice to know before, spending all that time going up this tech tree to find out that, that you only get 15 shells, and then after that you gotta wait 20 seconds. It's kind of like, I mean, I hate to say it, but I still think that it's right on the edge of false advertisement. For instance, if you go and you play World of Tanks, and if the tank's too good, if the tank's too good, then they nerf it. And if you bought it, then you get a tank that wasn't as good as what you bought it, so that's technically false advertisement. It doesn't matter what their what kind of contract or what kind of things that they have. Like if you're paying for a service, when you pay for premium time, they try to use the fact that it's a free game, but it doesn't they can't escape from oh, well, it's free to play. It's a free to play game, but you don't have to pay nothing. It doesn't escape from the fact that there is responsibility there. Seriously, there is some big responsibility when it comes to, like I said, if you are spending all this time, you get to a ranked 10 vehicle, just to find out that it has, I'll just say, unrealistic, unrealistic. An unrealistic function, or that it's nerfed in some way. So I mean, I'm gonna say, like, if you look here, 7.1, this one says 7.8 with no crew in it, but it's pretty much the same design, so we could pretty much say that it's exactly the same. It's not going to be any different. Yeah, you get 15 shots here. It's in a protected area, so sometimes when it gets ammo racked, it will blow out. And then of course the shells, like I said, it doesn't look to me like, it looks to me like it would be very hard for the, it doesn't look very hard for this guy to just grab the ammunition and stick it up here. I mean, I know because I've done physical labor, that to move this does not take 30 seconds. To move this shell from here, and I mean, if there's something in between them that's preventing it, I don't see it here. You know what I mean? I don't see any kind of shield, and it doesn't make any sense. If the driver has to handle it, if you have a full crew, I don't see how it could possibly take that long. Seriously, I don't see how it could possibly take that long. Yeah. So, definitely a flaw, I'll say for sure. In the game, seriously, in the game. Yeah. Let's see, what does the Abrams have? Let's see just the regular Abrams. Let's see, preview. So you get, it doesn't even tell you normally when you pick it, when you pick the shell, it'll, so 22 shots you get. And then after your 22 shells are fired, that looks like a lot more than 22. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 plus 12. Yeah, that's a lot more than 22 shots there. Yeah, and then you got these, which I don't know, maybe they're smoke rounds. Then you also have these stored in basically the same exact thing in a protected, where if it does get shot, it blows out the side of the vehicle. But sometimes it just blows up inside the tank. Yeah, so 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44. So you get 44 mixed shells in the Abrams. So I would say that this is probably, I mean, just because the ammunition's right there. Now let's see what the actual reload is on it. Let's see when we look at it. It says 6.5. So the reload of the Abrams, it's 105, right? It's only using a 105 millimeter gun. And then here you go to the 120, and it goes from 6.5 to 7.8. Now that's obviously probably with the crappiest crew, but I'm sure that you're probably carrying less ammunition. Let's actually look. Yeah, I might actually, I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but I might actually stop going up the German tech tree. Yeah, I might stop going up the German tech tree just because of that. So this says it only has 17, but I think it's 17 and 17. Seriously, I do think it's 17 and 17. Which should give you 34 shells. But let's see, 1, 2, so it's a 4, 8, 12, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so you get 34 shots right there. And then if you want to wait and load more, then you have these 6 shells here. But I would say that I probably wouldn't load those 6. There's no reason to have them there. But yeah, so once again, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you guys from experience and from talking to people that actually have done this, and I'm not kidding you, you literally hit a button and it opens up a vault that's these 2 double doors. You grab the shell, you step off of it, and it closes automatically. You grab the shell and you push it in, and then the back of the chamber pops up and it's ready to fire. It's literally that simple. So I think you step on it. It depends on which variant and also which country, but if it's a vaulted like this, if it's vaulted, it has doors that have to open. And so it's only open, like, you know, I would say that a reckless crew might just keep it open to fire faster. And then maybe a more professional crew would know if you're in battle, you're going to want to step on it, grab your shell, close it immediately, and stuff it in the barrel, pull out your old shell, and so on. I do believe that they even take the shell and put it back in, seriously, or throw it out, which sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. Now, I'm not going to tell you where I got that information from, but so, I mean, if you count that, that's 3 seconds, 4 seconds maybe. So you step on it, you grab it, and then you load it in. So I'm going to go ahead and say that just like World of Tanks, a lot of the stuff going on here is nerfed. Probably to make it so that you know, like as far as survivability goes, the American Tech Tree is probably the best, you know, because the Abrams is. But to make it fairer, to make it fair, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's a lot of hokey stuff going on. Um, so anybody that goes up the German Tech Tree, I'm going to go ahead and say that once you get past the Leopard 2K, the Leopard 2A4, you know, is a pain in the ass to play in Assault Tank Arcade, and I would say that it'd be quite easy to fire 15 shells in game and then be stuck there waiting 30 seconds. Meanwhile, an Abrams is just driving around doing 22, shooting what, 34 shells, you know, in relatively quick succession. So maybe the Leopard being like this is actually realistic. I don't know. Maybe the shells are really heavy and it requires 2 people. It's one of the things I didn't consider. It could be 80 pounds per shell. I could probably look it up, how much the shell weighs. If it was 80 pounds, I know that I would load it relatively easy. You know, it's 80 pounds. It's a lot of weight. But also it's probably hokey when you grab it. You got to be careful not to drop it. I would say it's a 2-man job. Let's say it was 40 pounds. That's basically a 5-gallon water container. So if you can imagine how heavy that weighs. So I don't think that the powder weighs that much. The big copper shell, the warhead's got to weigh some. So yeah, calculating all that. I'm just saying it could be as heavy as 80, or could be as light as 20, or maybe even 10 pounds. Seriously, I mean, I'd have to look it up. I'm gonna actually do that while we're streaming. Let's see here. Let's see how. Is a 120 shell weigh? Hundred twenty millimeter shell weighs 49 pounds. So 9 more pounds than a 5-gallon water drum. So that's a pretty awkward weight if you think about it. I'm looking at the Sabo round right now. It's the M829. I don't know if this is a, you know, common shell, but it does say that the M1A2. Yeah. So that's not that bad, honestly. I mean, I could imagine grabbing a 5-gallon water drum, but I mean, this isn't a compact where you can get your hands underneath it. Yeah, it'd be like a log that's probably 122 millimeters, you know, wide. You pick it up, about the same. Let's see. So depending on the round type, if it's a depleted uranium rod, 22 pounds just for that, I think. Yeah. So that's the M829A3 shell that shoots the Sabo. I think the heat shell might actually weigh more because it's got all the mechanical yeah, it's got all the mechanical junk in it. So yeah, all the mechanical stuff in it would probably be even heavier. So the question would be, how do you get this vehicle to fire quicker? Now, I don't have smoke. Yeah, like I said, it's quite a pain in the ass. You know, knowing that you can only get 15 rounds on this, and then you're just kind of screwed. It seems like a serious flaw. I mean, a serious flaw. And I don't know why these wouldn't be filled up with ammunition as well. I do know these are open places where people could probably stick stuff, so maybe there's a purposeful reason for it, but yeah, that seems like an awful flaw. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Like I said, I seriously doubt if I was I don't think I would go into battle carrying, you know, whatever amount of shells this is. I don't think I'd want to carry it. Yeah, I seen a vehicle that had an armored case around it as well. Like when you fire at it, there's also a, you know, rolled steel around it as well. Well, yeah, so if you're taking 50, 60 pounds, grabbing it with your hand, pulling it, and then lifting it while trying to drive, you could forget about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say like that's probably why it's almost a simulation, because I mean, in all reality, after you fire those 15 shells, you'd have to stop, and it would take the whole crew to grab the shells and move them back safely. But I don't see it taking 30 seconds per shell. I mean, unless there's like if it was in its own case and you had to like open the door up and do it that way, it would leave you highly vulnerable to being blown up. But during the load, but once this is more accurate, I'm gonna say that when I shoot 15 shells, I'll probably only shoot 10 shells per round on this, and then it would give me some time in between while to load. Like personally, I think whenever you're just, you're not firing, the guy should be loading, you know. But it does seem to be a flaw, just like in World of Tanks. Just the thing I don't like about some of the stuff in, like I said, false advertisement. Doesn't matter if this is a free game. It doesn't matter if you signed a thing that says, these are the rules or whatever. In the United States, if you buy something and it's not as advertised, you should be able to get a refund. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I can't think every single vehicle I've ever purchased from World of Tanks had been nerfed at some point. So I bought it when it was a good vehicle, and then within a week or a month it gets nerfed because it's, so on. But it should actually have to stay that way. Which is, I'll say, it's probably on, the 10th item on the list of why I don't play World of Tanks. And besides the fact that the game just absolutely upsets me, it really does. It upsets me more than people know. Seriously, like I'm not going to go into why, but I've actually gotten so upset. Now I do know that the Russian tank has a carousel autoloader. I don't actually understand how that works, but it doesn't require a loader on a couple of them. I think the carousel. I think it's like the T62A is a manual. Well, any of them that have ammunition loaded in the front. I think he only gets 30 pieces of ammunition regardless. That sucked. That seemed like it was right in the pickle barrel there. Oh, another shot. So there's 2 of my shots wasted. Not because of RNG though. It's just from pure not trained crew. Seriously. How many shells did we fire? Quite a bit. 2 of them I know were misses. So we literally have half the ammunition we had, and I got 3 kills for it. So once I get the laser rangefinder and crew is better, it'll definitely increase. And the heat shells at long range perform pretty good. I mean, it's not like the best, but yeah, the heat shells are nasty. They really just go all over. I don't even know how that pinned that guy. I'll take it though, you know? So let's see how many shells we have now. We have 2 shots and then we'll be at 30 seconds. So I could either just like kind of camp somewhere and let it reload. Seriously? Go try and get one of those things, which pretty much usually ends up with death. But in this case, I think we'll be okay. Oh, I hit a tree. That just sucked. Alright, now we're going 30 seconds, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have to get that if we wanna. It makes a lot of sense. I've actually seen somebody get 68 kills with this, which just makes me go, does that mean that the guy just got lucky and was able to get these constantly? Because a lot of times people have to repair and you can't always get it, you know? It could also mean that they were using some other method, like maybe when they were playing, they were shooting stuff, you know? So hard to hit. Especially when you can't see it. Oosh. Let's see if we can drop some bombs on these guys here. Yeah. I bent the track or something. Still got 4 shots. That shell went nowhere. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of discouraging, honestly. Like, you know, I spent this time getting up to this this tank. It has good protection, but because you have protection, you know, it takes you 30 seconds to load shells after you fire the, you know, fire the ones from up here. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be legit to me. Not at all. Seems to be absolutely incorrect. It's kind of funny, I don't know why, but the tanks that just shot at me They're the KP-70. Don't ever seem to fire at me. Like, I get hit by those a hell of a lot less than I do any other. Which is kind of crazy if you think about that. Yeah, my gun's toast. Oh, I'm dead. I could just hear the shells coming in there like dee 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 dee. Like I said, after those 15 shells, it might be just easier to just destroy your tank. Honestly, if you want to get the kills, you gotta basically, I mean, unless you want to wait 60 seconds, or if you just happen to be in between a round and you can get a refill, then that would be great. But if not, I don't see a point, you know, like if you're playing this game mode, how that would actually help you. And then, I mean, what if you're having just the most amazing game, you know, in multiplayer, and then you get down to those last shells? Get down to those last shells, what do? You just go hide and wait? Let somebody kill you? You know? Try and use, maybe, hopefully you've won some stuff. Like, I've actually won... I've won backup vehicles, so if I'm playing it, you know, in a specific game mode, I can get the backup vehicles. But yeah, I would say that I would like to spread the word about this, you know, odd thing they got going on here. Like I said, 30 seconds to load a shell from the front of this vehicle seems a little excessive, you know? And it doesn't sound legitimate, like I said. I mean, you know, you can't load high explosive shells and stuff and expect it to be perfection, but I'm just saying, like, even if they, you know, you're handling explosives with two guys, you know, one guy hands the shell to the next guy, and so on. And you can do it relatively safe in a short period of time, a couple minutes, you know, say 5 minutes. 5 minutes to do all, you know, I don't think it would even take that long. I just know it because when I did construction, yeah, when I did construction, that I would lift probably 100 pounds of material, and then pick it up and then set it down where I needed it, and then go back and get more, and it would take me more than an hour to spread out, you know, 3,000 pounds of weight. Now, obviously, if they needed to be handled with care, I could do that. I can handle them with care, you know, and it'd probably take me a little bit longer, but we're talking, you know, 3,000 pounds. If it was actual ammunition, it might take more, but I don't see it taking as long as they have on here. That doesn't make any sense to me. These are M1A1s, so they have the 100 millimeter gun on it. I'm just getting just unlucky, that's all I can say. Unlucky. I'm in like the worst place you could possibly be. No more comments. Yeah, so I was talking with a friend of mine named Mark, and he was basically, had suggested something about World of Tanks, which was that they purposely make it, really upsetting to play, so that you're more likely to, it's kind of like this, anybody that's not going to pay money is not going to want to play the game if they play it. They're going to be like, this is a joke, because it's so difficult, right? And then the people that do are more likely to, the people that will put up with that anger are more likely to play it, which makes perfect sense to me. Seriously, it makes absolute sense. It really does. It makes perfect sense. Sounds like something you would do, to get crap. Okay, where? Hey, I didn't get killed. Still got like 14 shells. I doubt very seriously I'll get more than 26 kills, but we might as well get a fully repaired everything crew. Yeah, I would say that it would probably be, if you're just playing this to try and get as many kills, that you should just, after you fire those 15, just self-destruct your tank. Honestly. Just self-destruct it. I know it sounds crappy, or even pay to win, but I think if you can possibly make, I don't know, probably 20,000. So as long as you're not going over that, you'll still make some, but not as much as But in a regular game, you're only getting 2,000, and I mean, this is gonna sound funny, but you get more for planes than you do for tanks, which doesn't make any sense because, I know that a plane is, a jet is more valuable. I know it's more valuable as far as money goes and stuff, but dropping bombs on people, I don't really know. Like, if you're a ground target designed to kill ground targets, I would think that, the ground targets would be the priority, because shooting down, like, most tanks' job isn't to shoot down aircraft. There's a specific vehicle designed to do that, right? And it's usually anti-aircraft, right? Obviously, this one has some 7.62 to maybe try and talk a plane out of, out of shooting it. If we do win this, we'll get some decent XP. So one of the things I learned too was like the difference between, like, say if you can get 20 kills in a game, even if you're in last place, as long as you got a decent amount of kills. I was just waiting to get blown up by this jet. So funny watching them go over. I used to try and shoot them when they were in the air. I was like, oh, sit and duck, but I almost always miss. So it's why I don't try firing at them. Yeah, if somebody hits the ammo rack while you're right there, good night. Yeah, I once was next to a guy, and I think because I had full ammunition, I mean, it was the first shot of the game hit me in ammo rack, and the explosion, destroyed my tank and his tank, which I was like, oof. So I stopped parking next to people. Yeah, so I would say, like, in the beginning of a game, if you could slow down your rate of fire, I would say probably try and make some, smart, like maybe let the targets get closer. And then towards the middle of the game, when the repair kits start popping up, you can actually do something. I'm gonna get hit. I can just feel it. So yeah, once the repair kit's, then you could start, just firing as fast as you want to. But otherwise, I'd say you probably could just fire, run out of ammunition, and just wait. It is possible there are locations, except for on the, I think it's called Psy something. It's a crappy, they're one of the worst maps. Yeah, so, I think that the game, this game is kind of, since I found out about it, honestly, since I was like, wait a minute, you gotta wait 30 seconds to move shells from here to here. I'm like, like, what are you using to get those numbers, The engine's failed. Probably shouldn't have repaired. Didn't notice I was at the end of the game. So yeah, getting 60 kills will give you like almost 8,000, 8,800, and then getting 37 targets with the critical hits as well adds up to this much, but it's half of this if you don't have premium. So half. So you would normally only get like 3,000. So it's almost triple the amount of games to do this. So yeah, like I said, I actually don't see a purpose. Seriously, I don't see a purpose. I'm gonna need to get this rangefinder to increase the accuracy, and then maybe after that get this ammunition. I think it would be better to have than yeah, I think it would be better to have than this ammunition. This one does 393, and then this one does 410. So that would probably be really good for the bottom of the Abrams. So yeah, laser rangefinder. Then we're gonna get this ammunition. We'll get this filter so we can get more horsepower. The actual engine though gives you plus two something, so I would say that this one's probably better to get all these first. Don't need smoke, it's the last thing you need. I mean when you're playing assault game mode. Anyway, I am gonna have to go shopping soon, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. Yeah. Yeah, I hope this was educational. I did play for 2 hours. We did talk about a lot of stuff, and I do like the realism factor to this is what really attracts me to it. Yeah, I think that every game is going to have some pros and cons. For instance, I mean, if you don't have premium time, this is just something you'd want to play for a couple hours a day, and then maybe after 4 months you get a new vehicle, and then after 6 months and so on. I think they play on people, not wanting to wait, so just wait. Do it the slow way, unless you can, like, my son got an account, and he got, he's working to get a tier 4 vehicle, which gave me some premium time, and gave me, well, I use the gold I got for premium time. So if you can get people to actually play the game and download it and get to a certain tier, then you get rewards for that. Uh, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this and have a good one. Later.